Strange Destinations, the show where innovators share the tales of the accidents, the inspirations and the connections which led them to create their own unique paths. I'm your host, Dan O'Grady, co-founder of Simpatico, and this show is brought to you by Silicon Beach Radio. Now a quick word from our sponsors.
Silicon Beach Radio, proudly sponsored by Allied Legal, legal advisors to innovative businesses. MYOB, business software that sets you up for success. Victory Offices, flexible workspace solutions, premium serviced offices, co-working, lounge space, virtual office, and meeting spaces.
Hi, Dan here, and welcome to Strange Destinations. My guest today is Meray Azar, the founder of Epic Experiences. Welcome, Meray.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
Very good, thank you.
So what's the most fascinating thing that's happened to you today?
Oh, most fascinating thing that's happened to me today. Talking to you, Dan.
Wow. There's our promo. Yeah. So for everyone out there, Meray, if you'd like to just share a bit about Epic Experiences and what that is.
So, Epic Experiences has had a bit of a long journey, and at the moment, as we speak, it is a small service-based app that allows individuals to find other individuals to go out and enjoy local experiences. So think kind of like small group events, afternoon tea with champagne and bar hop tours, mostly targeted at women, late 20s to probably about 45 years of age, that are really looking to expand their current friendship circles with other women in most circumstances. That's really what it is. But what we do is we take it a step further and we measure a person's emotional wellness and track how well they're doing during the whole course of them interacting with Epic Experiences and joining our events. And we find that we do allow our members to find facets of their human connections that they may have not been well aware of before, which then instigates further relationships, friendships, with our other members or even outside of our member network. So think of it like a members group that allows you to meet new people, and we facilitate that with a set program. Okay, so what drew you to put that together? Well, I at the time was in my early 30s and had felt very disconnected with how I wanted to pursue my life versus how my other friends from university and my first job coming out of university had chosen to take on their life. So I was very career focused, very tech heavy, wanted to explore the world, and my friends wanted to get married, have children, and work part-time. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I felt a huge disconnection between what my present friends were doing. And before I knew it, I literally had no friends. And was that due to pursuing a career, or was there other factors you think that were playing into that as well? I think pursuing a career did play a factor, but it wasn't probably the major contributor to what it was. The biggest contributor to the situation or the lifestyle was I simply just didn't want to settle down and stay where I currently am and live out my life forever and a day in that mundane life. So, and it's not mundane for everyone. People love it. There's lots of people that love it, and that's awesome, but it just wasn't right for me. And so it felt like a real lie for me to just conform. It was almost like I was playing a different role, and I did it for years. I think in my late 20s specifically, I started playing a role that was just not conducive to me. And that's when I realized, oh, where do you go from here? And that's probably the loneliest I've ever felt in my life, when I wanted to go against everything that I thought was right or thought what was meant to be, and go back and in tune with myself. And I think you do need to feel lonely. Otherwise, if you're not alone and in your own thoughts, then you're not going to be able to process what you think is going to be right or not right. You're sort of going to get swept up in it all. And I didn't want that. So that's what it led to. Career was great because it was a great excuse to say that I didn't want that life.
Right.
Like, career is used as a great, I'm really career focused but when it came down to it, yeah, it was great and I was learning new things and I really loved what I did. I just didn't want to conform to the life that everyone else was sort of happy to oblige by.
And have you always had a nonconformist streak?
Well, I am in tech, so we sort of go against the grain of everything, right? Like, I've definitely met my crowd in the tech world. I'd have to say yes in short. But at the same time, no, because when I do try and conform, I'm probably at my most unhappiest.
Right. And what is it about conformity that makes you unhappy?
Well, when you conform, it's very close to constraint, right? Conform, constraining, in a box.
Yeah.
So you're not actually allowing yourself to grow, and you're the only person that is actually conforming. You're obliging to conform or not to conform, or But when you feel like you're conforming to something, it actually that very word is saying you are putting yourself in a position where you don't really want to be there, because you're molding yourself or you're putting yourself in a box to conform to something.
Yeah. And have you found instigating a startup has been a way to break out of conformity and create something where those barriers no longer exist, or at least you get to set some of those parameters?
No, you still conform in the startup world. I mean, you're told to read the Lean Startup book and go and listen to the Ubers of the world, and you'll have lots of mentors saying you got to do this, you got to do that. So there's a lot of conformity that's going to come your way. So I don't think that startup world is safe from it, because we do have to conform to a certain element of things. But what it means is you can choose whether or not you want to participate or not.
Okay.
There is a startup model, right? There's a huge startup model that we're all supposed to kind of abide by, especially if you participate in an accelerator program and whatever, and they're trying to mold you or your branding and stuff. I feel like there's always going to be a sense of conformity to no matter what we do, because as humans, we love rules. Well, if you're process driven and you're rule driven and you want to know and you want to have a set guideline, conformity is amazing.
Yeah.
What's great is in startup world, you can conform, but you also probably don't have any idea what you're doing. So you deviate away from conforming, and then you're suddenly creative.
Yeah.
But in actual fact, most of the time when I thought I was being creative, I just had no idea what I was doing.
Right. So. Okay.
I'm sure there's going to be heaps of people going, this chick doesn't know what she's talking about. You're probably right. But
and growing up, did you have a creative streak in other areas?
Yeah, absolutely. I really loved the idea of creating things, but creating things through process and systematic approaches. So I loved lists.
Right.
And I loved writing things down and ticking them off as we go along. Or I love visualizing an end game and then connecting all the dots together to get to the end game. So I would have like a goal, but then the goal would be defined, and then I'd actually go step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. So in my head, I knew everything was a bit of a journey. And I liked that, because when I was growing up, I remember like going, I'm not always going to be 7 years old. One day I'll be 14.
Yeah.
And for a child to think that way, it's like, things aren't going to be like this forever.
Yeah.
And that's super important to have that mindset going into a startup. Because when you're, especially in your first year or your first conception of an idea, you need to see beyond that phase and that growth.
Yeah.
And I never really was exposed to the phasing of a startup. It was always like angel, series A, series B, C, whatever, or when it comes to investment or your growth as a startup. But I felt like I was stuck in startup land for like 4 years, and I still very much am.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you listen to Brian Chesky from Airbnb, the founder,
yeah,
he always says, no matter how much we grow, I always feel like we're going to be a startup.
Yeah.
Same thing with Facebook. So in short, yes, as a kid, I was very creative, but I also felt like life was always a journey. And so whatever I was feeling today wasn't necessarily going to be the way I was feeling a week from now or 2 weeks from now.
Okay.
If I was not friends with someone now, I may be friends with them later. I don't know.
You mentioned kind of making lists and making plans. So did, the 7-year-old and the 14-year-old Meray have plans for the 21 and the 28 and the 35-year-old Meray, or did you kind of plan out that far ahead?
Yeah,
Okay.
she actually, I think I really did. I knew that I would finish high school and go straight to uni. And then after uni, I'd graduate, hopefully with good enough marks to get into a grad program, which I did.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, take a stint and live overseas for a while, which I did. And I went and lived in London. And then I came back, and that's where I sort of really lost focus with the conforming. Do you know what I mean? So I came back and I thought, well, I did the overseas trip now, and I've done uni, and I've got a bit of a career, and so maybe it is time to conform to what everything is being done. And that was not always a mistake, but it was definitely a deviation away from what I wanted to do. And then I got the opportunity to go to Sydney and pursue another role in e-com and online trading. And that's where I really got exposed to the tech industry kind of at a high level, because it was all of a sudden online trading and e-commerce, which was really exciting. And it was only after that chapter where I came back to Melbourne, I had the opportunity to really explore startup land, app development, the technology behind these amazing platforms that I was using. That's what sparked my interest in startup world. And that was never really part of the 7-year-old plan, as in the 7-year-old child. But I always felt like it was always going to be a bit of a lone journey. And entrepreneurship is very, very lonely.
Yeah.
I think that's probably why a lot of us do it at quite a young age. But that's not to say that you can't start at any age, but no one tells you how isolating and lonely it can get, and no one tells you how emotionally spent you can become, and how much people you can actually lose touch with if they don't understand what you're going through.
And what kind of mechanisms have you developed or put in place to help address that isolation?
Small group events has been crucial. Having small group events that are led by like our brand ambassadors, so I would hold the events or other members would hold the events, has been super, super crucial. So anywhere between 4 to 10 people is really a sweet spot for us. And listening to each other and individual stories, and there's always like similar themes in all our members that are coming through. That has been really important in identifying those pockets of phases or chapters in your life where you're feeling lonely. I think what's really more important is acknowledging that feeling is something that you can address yourself, just like, suffering from insomnia, which I know a lot of entrepreneurs suffer from, which I do too, and understanding what are the mechanisms that you can take in exhaustion. All these things can actually lead to prolonged episodes of isolation and loneliness.
So in a way, Epic experiences by you founding it, running it, and also participating in it, you're both addressing it for yourself, but also putting together a service which helps other people address their own isolation and potential lack of connection socially as well.
Yeah, it's exactly it. And I thought, because you kind of like, as an entrepreneur, particularly me, I don't like failing. No one likes to fail. So I thought, if anything else, if I don't get anything out of this, I'll get some new friends.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if this doesn't work, then I don't know what will, because, something's got to work. And, it was amazing. I had the greatest year. Like, when the first year of us pivoting and doing this, I had the greatest year. I was just surrounded by so many loving people, so many people in the same boat as me, really genuine connections, and all because of epic experiences. And sometimes it was just as simple as having like a glass of wine and talking about the flavors of the wine, or us talking to our partners and them actually talking about their own journey about how isolating, starting their bar business is or whatever.
Yeah.
We really do touch on a lot of things that a lot of people go through. And I think it's becoming a lot more common as we transition our lifestyles dependent on what we want to achieve.
Yep.
And it's breaking away from that mold. It's not conforming to the models that our parents probably, and I hear a lot of that, like what our parents had to endure or had to, whereas we're one of the very few lucky generations where we want to.
Yeah.
Like, want to is such a luxury. Not many people have the ability to want something in their life and manifest it.
True. The tricky thing is identifying that want.
Yeah, exactly. But the great thing is like, we probably live a lot longer now. So I'm hoping that I get to live until I'm 90. I'm hoping, and my fingers crossed.
Yeah.
So I got a long time to figure out what I want to do.
Yeah.
I mean, KFC wasn't mainstream until, was he 65 or something?
I think that's the story, something like that. So it was definitely a third act in his life, so to speak.
I just don't feel like we have to worry. We are going to live a really long time, hopefully. And so we've got to think about, well, what is that life going to look like? Because you have to be happy. I think you have to be happy to get the best out of life.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily mean being happy and conforming to the things that you think you should do. It's more around identifying how you can give back real value.
Yeah. And it sounds like epic experiences is your way of giving that happiness to other people.
I hope so, but I got to admit, like, startup world, you also disappoint a lot of people because there's only like one or two of you and you've got to do everything. So
yeah.
I know, I feel I can always do better. So that's probably what keeps us going.
Yeah.
Is that I wish I could be there for our members all the time, but we're working on that. We're working on that really hard for our next round. So, but yeah, you're right. I get a lot of joy in finding our members, particularly members that are exhibiting behaviours that can be quite harmful, and then you see them for a catch up 4 months later and they're like, oh, I really got over it, like, thank you so much, went to a couple of your events and now I've got like 2 new friends, and I finished this chapter in my life and things are going really well. And and you think back to how you met them and they're like 100% changed.
Yeah.
And that is the most rewarding thing in the world. Fast. That makes living with great purpose and understanding what a social impact you could really have doing the things that you really love. And at the end of the day, if we just get to the bare bones of what epic experiences is you just get a group of people together and you enjoy an experience. But what's actually underneath all that is these complex human emotions and entanglements where someone just wants to sit down and sort them out. And believe it or not, it just happens and it works. And in 100% of the time, it's all done by the individual without them even realizing it. But it's so rewarding to watch it unfold in front of us.
Wow. That's fantastic, Meray. Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us. And all the best for the future. and
Thank
look
you.
forward to hearing more from Epic. And people out there want to get in touch, find out more about you, more about Epic experiences. What's the best way for them to find you?
Well, if they go to Epic Experiences, epicexperiences.co, there's a contact us form on there that they can submit, or alternatively, they can find me on LinkedIn. More than happy for them to message us. We're also affiliated with some meetup programs here in Melbourne, including Silicon Beach. So if you ever see me at Silicon Beach, please don't be shy and come and say hi. I look forward to speaking to everyone.
Great,
Who would
Meray.
have thought?
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming.
We made friends out of it too. Like, yeah.
Indeed.
And your lovely partner.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well, look,
yeah.
thanks so much for coming on the show. And thanks everyone for listening to this week's Strange Destinations, brought to you by Silicon Beach Radio and Simpatico, which is all about creating connection. So thanks for listening, and feel free to look us up online.